Good afternoon, Anjanda. How are you? You're on mute.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you, sir?
I'm fine,
good.
Fine. So, Shri and Karthik, can we formally start?
Yes, sir. We can start, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon to all the participants from the microfinance sector for this webinar for the launch, organized for the launch of the credit assessment tool designed by our Sa-Dhan SRO team with inputs from the entire sector. As we all know, one of the important mechanisms for our microfinance sector to ensure that whatever credit we are disbursing or dispensing to our clients is backed up with a proper assessment tool at our end. We all know that many of you who have worked in banks and all, you also know about the varieties of methodologies which are now in use, and also with technology playing a big part, we are able to develop and use many sophisticated mechanisms. But perhaps the microfinance sector does need a good assessment framework, but it need not be too complicated or too complex like that of the mainstream banking sector, because it has to be used easily, and also the data which is available to use this tool also has to be available easily for the sector. So with this aims in mind, our team has worked for a long time, and also after designing that framework, we have pilot tested it in the institutions also, and we got the feedback from there. Today, on the occasion of the launch of this credit assessment framework, we are glad to have Mr. Anjan Dasgupta delivering the keynote address. Because as a chief executive of a very reputed microfinance institutions, which has robust systems and frameworks in place, I think Anjan would be a right person to deliver the keynote address on such an important event. And we also have others from the sector who have run this pilot in their institutions. Biswajit Das from BJS, he also will be joining us, and Singh from Cashpore also will join us, and our team will make a presentation on the actual framework. So with these few words, I welcome all of you. I see a large number of participants from the microfinance sector in this webinar. I now hand it over to our team to take this webinar forward. So I would like to invite Mr. Anjan Dasgupta for his keynote address.
Thank you, Satish. Thank you, Sa-Dhan, yet again for inviting me and giving a keynote address on the credit assessment framework. Sa-Dhan's effort for having a standardized credit assessment framework for MFI borrowers is a step in right direction. While the MFIs and other players have been scaling up, increasing their outreach, there have been sizable gaps, different basis assumptions in income assessment, risk profiling, leading to portfolio quality issues and mass default, also reputation hit. The recent effect that we saw was in Assam, where we took a reputation hit, and as a result, even the portfolio quality suffered because of over lending. Also, RBI in its consultative paper proposes income assessment framework and risk profiling. So it becomes very important to have such a framework. Such credit assessment framework will fix standards, benchmark, a good starting point. It's not that this is going to be a static assessment framework based on experience. I'm sure it will be made more effective, enhanced, and more relevant. So why is the need? It provides a verifiable income assessment and risk profiling with reasonable accuracy. It will promote client protection, loan size, and interest rate assessment. So effectively, I mean, with the interest rate being relaxed that we expect shortly from RBI, we could have a risk-based interest rate assessment, reducing the risk and ensuring portfolio quality. The framework, the credit assessment framework, has been designed by Sa-Dhan and has taken into account the national and international models of poverty assessment and well-being determination. This has already been piloted by Sa-Dhan with 500 clients across India, various regions of India. So what was the objective? Like, the objective was improving and supplementing existing models with well-being indicators. This is one thing new. I mean, the well-being indicator is supplemented to the existing models, providing a credit worthiness score, enabling risk-based loan pricing and loan sizing. And then ultimately it will benefit us because ultimately we are going in for a digital lending. So if you are going in for a digital lending, if you have a standardized way of risk assessment, this is going to help us sizably. I mean, they have decided on an integrated component where there'll be an income assessment, there'll be a well-being assessment, there'll be a credit history and in-depthness assessment, credit worthiness score, and maximum repayment and outgo. So all these will be integrated into one, and from there we'll be actually deriving the credit worthiness score and maximum repayment outgo. So, I mean, under the first category, the income and expenditure assessment, it'll be difficult. Like, I mean, while we are dealing with the base of the pyramid, there are no income tax files to be seen. There are no vouchers. There are no balance sheets and profit and loss to be seen. So it is more of inquiry based or a visual assessment. You know, so in that, I mean, here the definition is family income. So it'll be important to find out the number of earning members, multiple income source, and regularity in income cash inflow. There's a well-being assessment, and what I best like about this is, I mean, they have provided set criteria, which is not again a standardized criteria. It can be changed, it can be improved upon. You know, and they have actually highlighted in green and red how we are going to fix up the categorization of each client. You know, and they have categorized it into 3 categories: the manageable household, the low income households, and the vulnerable household. Based on that, they have set a parameter on which the repayment capacity is determined. The credit history and the income in-depthness assessment, this is very important. While we expect that, I mean, the number of institution criteria is going to go off in the current regulations, it will be only the repayment capacity that will come in. So it will be important to have the credit history and the in-depthness assessment properly done. That too, Sa-Dhan has laid out the various criteria on basis of which the in-depthness assessments will be done. The credit worthiness score is again arrived at, which is a factor of income and expenses assessment and the credit history and in-depthness assessment. So this will determine the maximum outgo that can go in, you know, and then they have provided a basic structure, not a very difficult structure, that on what basis will the repayment capacity be determined, and how much shall we lend to such a client. So they have categorized it into vulnerable household, low income household, and the manageable household. And on the various categories, what will be the quantum of repayment that we can actually have. So, I mean, I must thank Sa-Dhan for, setting this up, doing a research, a pilot, testing it. And this is the first starting step. I wish everyone adopts this particular criteria, this particular framework, so that we all have a standardized format. We could also provide all kinds of input to this particular framework and make it much more efficient, much more reliable. And then ultimately, our aim is to go in for digital lending. The models are going to take a churn. They're going to change post-COVID. With other players coming in sizably into our sector. So this will be the framework which is going to be actually very useful for the MFIs and maintaining the quality, lowering the risks. So I must thank Sa-Dhan again for having this and also, getting this framework into a doable mode. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anjanda. Now, from the Sa-Dhan side, Karthik and Sri will be making a presentation on the framework itself. Over to both of you.
Good afternoon, everyone. We'll give you a brief presentation on the tool. So as Anjan sir has already mentioned, there is a much need to standardize the practice tool for available in the industry, because income assessment of the household is a very critical component of the microfinance lending. Over the years, during our various interaction with the clients, with the MFIs, and in our various visits, we have found that there are some gaps in the existing income assessment processes. Like these processes are not standardized. Different MFIs have different level of detailed income expenditure assessment process. Some are using very sophisticated psychoanalysis process, some are a very rudimentary process. So there is no basic benchmark for this kind of assessments. Also, if there are no standardization of this process, different MFIs can assess a single household differently. For some, the repayment capacity could be different. So that also brings a contradictory aspects which lead to indebtedness for the household. So in our various interaction with RBI and other committee like our own SRO committee and different stakeholders, we have many times flagged that there is a need of standardization in this process. And in the recent consultative document also, which has been released by RBI, they have mentioned that they want to link the income indebtedness level of a household with the income level of the household, which is make it more necessary to assess a household repayment capacity accurately. So there are some gaps which we have observed in our various interaction, that if it's the income of the household is assessed improperly, invariably there is a debt stress for the client. loan size and lending decisions should be based on the repayment capacity. So even not only the arbitrary indebtedness level, it should be show the accurate income repayment capacity of the household. Like Anjan sir mentioned that in the Assam situation, we have seen that there are incorrect assessment of the household repayment capacity. That's why they are more indebted. So which lead to a huge default in that state. So this was the vision for preparing a framework for Sa-Dhan's member, which can be used universally. This is to give you a minimum benchmark, minimum requirement for the assessment. As I said, in our different interaction with RBI, our own Sa-Dhan SRO committee and the steering committee of the CRN, Code for Responsible Lending, it was decided that MFIs need a very comprehensive and easy to use assessment method, which will give them a minimum standardization. Towards this, we have designed a framework which we have piloted with 500 clients and with our member MFIs, SFBs, which includes for-profit and non-for-profit MFIs. And based on this pilot, we have done some fine-tuning for the framework. And so the objective of this framework is to supplement and improve the existing income assessment models used by the MFIs. Also, this utilize the integrate existing data points which are available with the MFIs. So for your existing clients, you have the available data and you can integrate it with in this framework. And based on that, you can decide the repayment capacity credit scoring of the MFIs. This is also to promote risk-based loan pricing or loan sizing. So based on your assessment, you can decide to whether give a different loan size or loan pricing for the client. And top of everything, this framework is to prevent over-indebtedness for the vulnerable low-income segments. This, as Anjan sir has already mentioned, this framework has three major components, which is income expenditure assessment, well-being assessment, and credit history and indebtedness assessment. Based on that, we will give credit worthiness score and maximum repayment output for the, will identify that. So this is an easy and variable well-being assessment. So in the well-being assessment, there are different parameters which can be cross-verified. Based on credit history and well-being assessment, we will give risk profiling of the client, which is 40% of the well-being assessment and 60% of the credit history will give them a score. We have also tried to utilize the income potential of that area, which we regularly circulate to our members through our monthly analytic reports. So based on that also you can decide what is should be the weightages of the risk for that particular client. So this framework is very easy to adopt and you can customize this. We can also customize this based on the geography and client demography. And furthermore, we have used here a national and internationally recognized assessment of the clients. I will ask Karthik to share, give you the detail of the framework. Karthik, can you please?
Yes, thank you, Sri. Sri, can we go to the previous slide, Sri, once? I can, yeah. Yeah, good evening, everyone. So I will take you through the tool. So as Anjan sir was telling and Sri has shared, so this tool we have tried to keep it very simple, not to complicate it. That has been one of the major objectives of us, and we also try to ensure like whatever data points are already available with us, like if you look at the tool, like 60-70% of the tool uses the existing data points which are already captured by MFIs. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to utilize those data points and integrate it, quantify it, and integrate it, and come up with an risk score which would help the MFIs in their lending decision. That can help in enhancing their appraisal accuracy, and also it also helps in identifying households better, the well-being of the household, because as you are aware, the especially rural households, the incomes, it's very difficult to verify it, as most of the income does not come directly into the bank account. So in that case, how the income assessment is something which is very challenging. So that we thought like how can we make it a bit easier, and also make it more verifiable using proxies. So these proxies, as we had shared earlier, are from like we had taken inspiration from the PPI, Progress Out of Poverty Index, and the poverty assessment used by a National Rural Development Livelihoods Mission, Rural Development Ministry. So these two data sources, these two assessment indicators have taken. We have some of the indicators have taken, and we have designed the tool. So the overall framework is like this. So the final output would be we'll get the creditworthiness score of a client and the maximum repayment outgo, and we will also know the well-being category of the client. So these two are the major outcomes of the tool, and wherein the income and expenditure assessment and credit history and indebtedness assessment will be the inputs, and which would give the final results. Next. So yeah, so this is the household basic information. So as I was telling you, like because I've also, when you go to field visits, we look at the loan applications. So they're like you see, like most of the information would be maybe captured by the MFIs, but then like we feel like the information just captured is not utilized properly for the credit decision. So especially like we thought like with respect to income, we had included parameters like number of earning members. So accordingly, a weightage has been given to that. We are looking at multiplicity of income source. Like there may be two earning members, but then they may have multiple income sources. So that is something we're trying to capture. We are giving weightage for that. Especially a household which has an agricultural income, which also has an migration income, which has livestock. So like that, households which have multiple sources of income, we have seen they have been better off, especially when there are stress events, and the repayments have also been better. So for that, we thought like that is one parameter we kept, and we have assigned weightages for that. Next, we have looked at regularity of income. So whether it's seasonal income or it's a regular, whether they get income throughout the year, or is it only a few months in a year they have majority of the income, and remaining months they don't get much income. So that regularity of income is also one important parameter. We have assigned weightage, and dependent children is another parameter we have taken. Now we feel like that this, especially when the dependent children, especially for education, the expenditure, the lot of expenditure that goes into education and health. So that again may make the household expenses go up, disposable income come down. So these Sri, can you go to the previous one? I think so these four indicators of assigned weightage. Other parameters also will be capturing, but we're not assigning weightages for them. So we'll also be capturing, like as it is usually captured in MFI assessment, annual income, expenses, and disposable income. So and one more thing we are capturing here is economic potential. For many of the MFIs, you may know, like Sa-Dhan, like every month we share district-wise risk reports. So in that, you would have noticed there is a column called economic potential, which is from the World Bank data. So that also we are integrating in this tool, because we find like some districts, which are well off. Some districts may not have that much level of opportunities, where the clients who are there, they may their incomes may be relatively lower. So that the economic potential of the district is also is taken into consideration here, and accordingly we are giving weightage for that. So like these indicators are as Ajay sir was telling, these indicators are very flexible. So as the name suggests, like this is a framework. It's an overall guiding framework that we want to share with MFIs. The indicators and weightages and all, they can be changed depending upon the geography, because based on our pilot, what our experience says is like we did this pilot in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Rajasthan, West Bengal, UP. So some indicators which are working very well in a state like UP, Rajasthan does not work well in Kerala. So in that case, like it has to be tailor made. But then, what are the components that are there, and how do we integrate it, and at the end, how do we come up with the risk profiling is what we feel is very important. The other parameters and all can be modified, can be made flexible. Yeah. Next, Steve. So this is one of the main part of the tool. We are looking at the household well-being assessment. So as we discussed earlier, especially in the low-income households, the rural households, like verifying the income of the household is very difficult, as the income does not come into bank account directly. So in that case, like what are the proxies that can be there which can help us understand the well-being status of the household? So for that, like for the pilot, like we have taken these 14 parameters. So housing is one major parameter, which is very visible, which helps us understand the well-being status of the household to a reasonable accuracy. That is what we felt in our study. And under housing, we have the rented house is one parameter we're taking, whether it's a kacha house or a pakka house, and the roof material, especially with respect to roof material, whether it's tile, sheet, or thatch, that we are looking at it. We're looking at number of rooms. If it's two or less number of rooms is one parameter we're taking. Availability of toilet. This again we have seen in many places. Households which are not having toilet are relatively poorer households, like that we have seen in our pilot. Availability of refrigerators, air coolers, children studying in government school, landless agricultural workers, MGNRGS workers, access to gas cylinder, access to electricity, clients having access to smartphone and scooter. This is client's access. It's not the family members' access. It's client having access to a smartphone or a scooter. Access to a BPL card and treatment from government hospitals. So these 14 parameters we have taken, and in here you can see some marked in red and some marked in green. So like wherever we are marking in red, so it means that household is automatically it classifies as a poor household. And wherever we are marked green, like those, there are automatic exclusion parameters, where those households would automatically qualify as a manageable household. So these are auto inclusion and auto exclusion criteria that is there, so that it will be easy for the field officers, because because most of it, some of it may definitely be captured during their house visit of the field officers. So in that case, like these parameters can be verified, and we've categorized the households into three categories. One is vulnerable household, that is the lowest strata. Second is low income households, and manageable households. So all these three come under the poor household definition that is defined by the RBI. So in that case, like how do we? So in that case, like out of these 14 parameters, if an household qualifies for 60% or more, they would be termed as vulnerable household. So if it is between 30 to 60%, they will be low income households. So if it's less than 30% of parameters are satisfied, so they will be manageable households. So these are the three different categorizations of households, and based on these 14 parameters, so households can be categorized. So this would definitely help in the MFIs in verifying the income. Because like I personally have seen in many MFIs where the income and expenditure is just mentioned very rudimentary, like 90,000 for all clients, 92,000 for all clients. So in that case, like in case someone else from the management, or someone from the regional manager, someone wants to go and verify whether the things have been done properly. So in that case, I think then there is a requirement for indicators which can be verified easily, and because as we saw earlier, like incomes is not very easy to verify. So in that case, this we feel like would help MFIs in identifying households, because like even for example, in case like recently there was due to COVID, like in case we had done this earlier, vulnerable household, low income household, manageable household, so we can immediately see like vulnerable household, the repayment rates, how is it in vulnerable households, manageable household, low income households. So we can like even with respect to the restructuring and all, we can focus more on vulnerable households. So all these things, a lot of things, I think this thing would have utility, and also it can also in the future help in capturing impact of microfinance. So in case we have 100 households in a village, and initially, like when we started lending, they were in vulnerable category, and next after 4 or 5 cycles, they slowly graduated to low income manageable household category. So those things also we feel is very much possible in the future. Yes. Next. So the second thing is household credit history assessment. So in the credit history assessment, again, we are trying to look at what all possible data points from the credit report can be taken and can be integrated for the creditworthiness score. So when we looked at it, like so first thing what we thought was number of institutions from which the clients has loan outstanding. So in case lesser number of institutions, obviously the indebtedness would be less, and also there would not be much stress for repayment. So in that presumption, like we have given more weightage for having loans with lesser number of institutions. The client has more number of loans with more institutions, the weightages, the score reduces. Next is highest monthly repayment outgo in last 1 year to annual income percentage. So like like how much does the client leverages himself or herself. So that also we want to see, because like it may happen like if you just look at the last 1 month or 2 months, or the credit report once the loans are closed. In that case, it may not show the actual borrowing behavior of the client. So if you want to understand the borrowing behavior of the client, like if you can go to the last 1 year thing, I think it's all easy to capture from the credit bureau report. So from that, like what is the highest monthly outgo, if you can capture that, so that again would tell us like this client borrows, his leverage is quite high. So in that case, after your loan also, there's a possibility of him or her going to other MFI and borrowing. So those things are also there we are looking at. Next we're looking at is current monthly repayment outgo to income percentage. So what is the monthly repayment outgo right now the client is having, and to the income percentage, how much is that? So that again will give us has on to the risk score. Next is proposed repayment monthly outgo. So current and next is proposed. You're adding, including our loan, like what would be the repayment outgo. That again is important parameter to taking. Now the fifth is like number of CB inquiries in last 2 months. This again we are looking at, because in case a client has high number of CB inquiries, then the possibility of the loan being rejected there, and some issue with the client is very much possible. So in that case, that again you're taking into consideration. In case there are no CB inquiries, you are giving more weightage. There are more number of CB inquiries, it can be given lower weightage. Next is any instance of default or late repayment as per credit bureau report. that again is given in higher weightage. Any incidence of late repayment as per information from JLG or the field staff. So if you see, like in the entire model, like we are also capturing information from the from the field staff and the members, and that is recorded in the entire process, and that can be a reference in future. So that is something we are trying to see. So any incidence of late repayment as per because like many times what happens is a client, someone else pays for the client that particular installment, but then like that does not get reflected in the credit bureau report. So how do we capture that also in the risk assessment? Because that is very important, we felt like, because those clients, 1-2 times the joint liability comes in, they are prospective clients who may default in future, in next 2-3 months, or they may be clients with higher stress. So that is an important parameter again we are looking at. Next is client vintage. So if a client has been with an MFI for 2, 3, 4 cycles of loans, so those clients can be given better scores, risk scores, because the MFI already knows them, and they have a existing relationship. So those needs to be given weightage. So we are including that. And lastly, adherence to the group norms. So what does the group members think about that particular member about adherence to the group now, whether it's good or average? What do they think? If it's good, average, and even below average also can be given, and it can also be given 0.5, good one, maybe average, below average. So these three scales can be given. Accordingly, a weightage can be assessed. So like in this criteria assessment, we're not just looking at the in the CB report, we're not just looking at the loan outstanding or the default or the OD. We're looking at other things also which are available in the credit bureau report, which are not very difficult to capture. These are very easily this can be very easily captured. So these things we're trying to quantify it and integrate it to the final creditworthiness score. Next, Steve. Yeah, so this is the creditworthiness score we're looking at. So the creditworthiness score, the income and expense assessment, we are giving 40% weightage, and the credit history assessment we are giving 60% weightage. So totally it's 100%. So how we are determining the maximum repayment outgo? So that we would share. So as we are seen earlier, if you see here, there are 3 categories of households: vulnerable, low income, and manageable households. So like based on household category, an MFI can fix the whatever the indebtedness limit or loan size they want to give. So that can be the indebtedness of the particular client can be fixed based on the household category. So if it's vulnerable household, it can be up to 30%. So these are not hard and fast percentages. These are flexible. It can be changed, modified depending upon the state or MFI based on the risk appetite and all that within the RBI norms. So as you saw, like the proposed RBI norms talks about 50% of the 50% of it says like the like whatever the repayment outgo is that it should not cross 50%. So in that case, like if it's vulnerable household, we suggest it can be slightly lower than the allowed 50%, maybe 30%. If it's low income household, maybe 40% you can keep, and manageable household maybe 45% you can keep. And that again, we are the next column we're looking at economic potential and the creditworthiness score. So in case it's a vulnerable household, but then the economic potential is high, and the client also has a higher creditworthiness score. So in that case, you can give up to 50%. Is also possible because the client, though is a vulnerable household, the client is from an high potential district, and also like we are also looking at has a very high creditworthiness score, because that again is creditworthiness score is also very important, because a client may be vulnerable, but a client has good track record of timely repayment and the other parameters with respect to group norms and all that. So if all that is good, it can be up to 50% also. So that is what we say, 50% of total income or disposable income, whichever is lower. So that is what we're looking at. Next is if a household is a low income household, if an household is categorized as a low income household, then again you can go up to 40% of the income. So again, if it's an high economic potential district and the creditworthiness score is high, so in that case, it can go up to 45 to 50%. It can be done. Next is manageable household. If it's again manageable household, in general, we're talking about 45% of total income or disposable income, whichever is lower. And in case if it's an depending upon the district economic potential, low, medium, or high, the final the indebtedness cap can be fixed. So what are the main highlights of this is we're looking at the well-being category, we're looking at the economic potential of the district, we're looking at the creditworthiness score. So based on all these three, we are fixing the indebtedness limit, which is very which is based on our parameters which are quantified. Yes, next. So like this, we feel like this would help also in your product design of MFIs, especially like how do we design products that are suitable for a particular well-being status of a household and the creditworthiness score of an household, like with respect to the ticket size, like how do we size the ticket, how do we size the loans in different geographies for different households, like because like I've spoken to many MFI, they say like after especially COVID, they feel like rudimentary ticket size is like first cycle 30,000, second cycle 40,000, third cycle 50,000, like that. It cannot happen, especially now as the risk levels have gone up. So in that case, there is need for better risk profiling of clients, geographies, and determining ticket sizes on that. So ticket sizes can be designed can be fixed based on this. The monthly repayment obligations can be fixed based on this. The loan tenures, the repayment frequency, loan pricing, especially because like as RBI is proposing to and move the cap. So in that case, like whether clients who have a better creditworthiness score, where they can be given loans at a lower price, which happens in retail sector, retail banking, where clients with higher CIBIL score, they're usually given at a attractive rate of interest. Something like that can be given to clients to encourage credit discipline and prompt repayment and all that. And like as we saw earlier, like differential indebtedness cap based on well-being, based on the geography, and also based on the creditworthiness score. So what we feel is like though RBI may give a cap, so within that, based on a risk appetite of the institution, like how far an institution wants to stretch, how far where they want to limit. So this again needs to be decided by the institution. And geographic specific indebtedness, I was telling like it is not just well-being, geographic specific indebtedness and loan sizing accordingly. So how do we do that? We feel like such this kind of framework will definitely help institutions in doing that. Next. Thank you. So this is all about the tool. Yeah. So as we shared earlier, we firmly believe like this would definitely help institutions to improve their existing credit appraisal framework. And overall, like this is more of a framework we are sharing with our institution. This is not an the tool which needs to be used by all institutions. That is not the idea of sharing this. So this is a framework which we feel like which can be if it's like which would definitely undergo a lot of changes based on inputs of a member institutions. Like it can be flexible based on the states, the institutions, and like. But then the main idea of it is to have a minimum accepted benchmark for credit appraisal, which is quantifiable, which takes all data points available right now, like not ignoring, because a lot of effort goes into collecting a lot of data points that which is there in the loan application. So how do we quantify the data points? How do we integrate the data points and integrate it and so that it will help us in our credit decision and reduce the risk and enhance the portfolio quality. And on top of that, clients are also protected. It also ensures client protection and prevents over-indebtedness. So this is an overview about the tool. Yeah, so if there are any questions, we can take any questions, suggestions we can take.
Yeah, thank you, Karthik, for the detailed presentation. So as we have already shared that this framework which we shared with you could be the basic standardized framework for the credit assessment. So we, as in future, we see that we want MFIs to use this as the benchmark, minimum benchmark of the assessment, and we would like our all members to use this framework. And yes, this is have some flexibility. So if we want it to be based on the MFI's risk appetite and the need for the sector, this can be more stricter and flexible for the MFIs and the clients based on the situation of the sector. But this we see as the basic benchmark of the assessment. So I would like to invite Mr. Vishwajit Das from Belghoria Janakalyan Samiti. If sir can share few, I mean, his organization was one of the organizations with whom we have piloted this. So I would ask sir to share his experiences with us. And for everyone, I would like to say that after this, we will in the house for a Q&A session. You can share your, I mean, you can send your queries on the chat and we will try to address that. Sir, if you can share.
Okay. So thank you very much for the opportunity to share my opinion on the credit assessment framework. Actually, Karthik Ramadas has explained details, and now it is clear to all the MFI to understand what are going on for credit assessment. So we are very happy that Sa-Dhan has selected BGS as one of the pilot organizations under this credit assessment framework program. Just I would like to inform that BGS has been practicing credit assessment using PPA model since long. But now the model suggested by Sa-Dhan looks quite informative, more useful and analytical. So I believe that every organization can use this framework with some changes as per their geographical need. And I would like to just say that BGS and we have another organizations like named WIGRO. We are going to just take this assessment to assess our client. And I hope if we just go with this credit assessment framework, then we can protect our clients from over-indebtedness. And as well as I am very sure that our default rate will be reduced and our quality of portfolio will be there. So it is my earnest request to all of the organizations who are joining here. You can go through the process and we can adapt these things by changing as per our local need. So thank you very much from my side. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Das, for your sharing your experiences. I would like to invite Mr. Aditya Singh to share his experience. He is from the risk team of Cashflow. So, Mr. Aditya, if you can share your points.
It is my pleasure to be here, and I'm very thankful for Shamaji and Ambriji for inviting me to the webinar today. Also, Anjan sir for his introductory note, and Vishwajit sir. As he said, it is also my honest request for every member institution to adapt this and as per their business needs. So, as far as I could remember, we piloted the Sa-Dhan credit assessment tool. I think that was in the beta phase. So we piloted in the month of January and in one of our operational January 2021 to be specific. So we piloted it then, and afterwards, as we all know, there was a COVID wave, and it was a kind of a speed breaker, and things were on a hot. But soon after the end of the second wave, we started back our operations, and we started looking more and analyzing more this tool, and whatever the data that was collected during the pilot, and we sent it to the Sa-Dhan team, and we had a very good collaboration in developing this credit assessment tool in that. So from that point, we also have an income assessment framework, and it is under we call it as the NGS, New Growth Strategy. So it's under that, and we also use the PPI model for household selection. So if I can see that in the Sa-Dhan credit assessment tool, it's in the well-being assessment section, which takes care from all the rented house, kacha house, roof material, to the point it's the treatment to for government hospital, and they have given categorization from manageable to vulnerable households, which is also correct. So if I go ahead with the credit history and the indebtedness assessment, in that it is much more applicable to someone who has a higher vintage, who has a bureau history, and there's also there's also point number 8 that shows client vintage. So client vintage, I would say, if some client is having a client vintage of less than 6 months or 7 months, so probably their credit track record is not enough to make a sound judgment. So we need more inputs and variables for the model, which also we can get that from well-being assessment, and also in the determining the maximum repaying outgo, as Karthik said about the economic potential of the district, that report that they share every month. So that would be very helpful, and for developing the new product design. So I'm also about the new product design, and I have found out that we can set the monthly installment and the risk appetite for selected product. If we are thinking about what, let's say, bicycle two-wheeler loan. So a two-wheeler can be used for personal reasons, and as well as for like a TVS Excel can be used for business purposes, like what microfinance banks use to for transportation of goods, and they provide services in that unorganized sector. So yes, definitely they'll be helpful for the new product design. So I would thank Sa-Dhan for sharing this complete tool to us. And at the end, I have a query also. So my query is if I can get the model through the Excel, or is it going to be an encoding document, because this has to go through some logic test, business logic. So definitely is going to be incorporated in our IT systems, and it will work. And definitely we must need to conduct training of our staffs to understand this. What we understand, they must also have the same understanding how this tool works, and how is it going to be helpful for them when they are on the ground and looking for potential clients, and they are spending their time for potential. So this will give them confidence that whatever loan appraisal is going to happen from them will be a sound credit. So I thank Sa-Dhan for sharing this framework to us. Thank you, and member institution for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Aditya. We will try to address your query. As you said, that this could be an Excel-based system, and also can be integrated in your existing MIS system also. And need a detailed training for their staff, for their credit officers. We will be happy to help you to organize this kind of training session with our.
Sure.
So now we are opening this webinar for everyone. If anyone have any query, please raise your hand, and you can ask your question.
Hi, this is Krishna Jadran from KPB Fincare. Can I raise a query?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Hi, thank you. First of all, congratulations on coming out with this assessment framework. I certainly believe it is need of the hour. And as Anjan Dasgupta sir earlier mentioned, when we move on to a more kind of digital lending, this will be playing a crucial role in segregating the borrowers as per the risk. Now, coming to the query, I want to understand, you had Sa-Dhan had partnered with multiple MFIs to test this. So how is the feedback on like credit worthiness that has been assessed post the loan disbursement done through this model vis-a-vis other loans given to similar customers without going through the same model? Has any comparative study been done, or is it too recent for such a study to come out?
Uh, Thanks for the question, Mr. Krishna. Like what we have done is because of COVID, we could not get this data again from all the institutions. But then we have asked institutions for the status, as you are telling, especially based on our assessment, comparing our assessment with the credit, the repayment behavior of the clients after COVID. So this we are in process of comparing it. Maybe very shortly, maybe we can try to also share it with everyone. Yeah.
Okay.
We are in the process of doing it. Yeah.
Okay, that would be great if we can get a comparison. And another doubt is, you had shown this household well-being assessment through various proxies. In that, the categorization to three households are based on how many parameters are included. But I kind of found some of these parameters are actually good parameters to have. So why are they coming out as a negative thing? Like, for example, availability of toilet or access to gas cylinder, etc. Good to have, right? So why those numbers are actually adding on to the total number of parameters, and then the score is getting dragged down? Why that happens?
Yeah, like availability of toilets and gas cylinders. This year, mostly I've seen, Mr. Krishna, mostly low income, very vulnerable. Also, they don't have access to toilets or gas cylinders. So in that case, automatically, automatically what happens is they would come under the vulnerable household. It will be an auto inclusion criteria, like as I shared there.
So vulnerable household sits at the bottom, right?
Yeah, vulnerable, like it's more than 60%. If out of this, a person, the gas cylinder is one of the parameters we are taking. If person is not having access to gas cylinder, so that will be taken as a one. That will be one parameter.
Okay.
Not having access to, we have just put the parameter. We not put whether it's positive or negative. But then that is how we are saying, if an household is not having access to gas cylinder, it will add to this. Vulnerable also not having access to electricity will add to this. But overall, there are few parameters we felt it can be an auto inclusion, like an household not having a toilet, automatically it will be included into an vulnerable household. Not necessarily it has to have all this less than 30, 60, 30 or 30 to 60 or 60. Few parameters can be auto inclusion parameters. If, for example, an household in a thatched roof, they automatically they'll be included into an vulnerable household. And a household having having a refrigerator, automatically they would go into a manageable household. Auto exclusion. So like that, there are few auto exclusion parameters, auto inclusion parameters. So this is mostly used in, as I was telling, under the social economic and caste census, SECC, where different government schemes, for that they identify beneficiary. Even for that, this auto inclusion, auto exclusion is used. And also under this National Rural Livelihoods Mission, Ministry of Rural Development, even there they have this auto inclusion and auto exclusion parameters. So from that, this has been we have taken as an inspiration. Yeah.
Okay. So this will not count as the number of parameters. The good parameters, if it is included, it won't be counted in the total percentage, right?
Yes.
Okay. That's all. Thanks a lot for answering the query.
Thanks, Mr. Krishnan. Thank you.
Hello. 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 Am I
Yes,
audible?
sir. Yes, sir. You're audible, sir.
Yes, sir. Good evening to all. It's we congratulate. We are from Balaradi Social Finance Private Limited. We congratulate Sa-Dhan for this great work by having the credit assessment tool, so that if all the member institutions are following it very strictly, the goal can be easily achieved. My only doubt is now, based on the economic potential and household income category, the amount can be fixed, variable amount. Yeah, good scoring, a higher amount based on the available income or disposable income. Similarly, for the lowest category, low amount. But is there any difference in the interest also within the same group? Say, for example, in a group, there are 5 members. Some members will be coming in the higher category, 1 or 2 members coming in the vulnerable category. In that case, in the same group, whether interest rate can be difference, can be a different rate can be applied. Is it or we have to give the same rate of interest? This is the only query which I want to raise. Thank you for this.
Yeah, yes. Thanks, Sundarajan sir, for the question. So, Mr. Sundarajan sir, in this framework, there is no have to or has to. It is a very flexible thing. It just helps the institution in improving their risk assessment, the risk management, and the appraisal systems. So like what we recommend is, in case a client is having a good creditworthiness score, like it is good to incentivize him or her with a lower rate of interest. So that would also like increase the client staying with the institution for a longer period of time. And also, like, in case if he or she also happens to be a vulnerable household, so definitely institutions can have a look at it. But then, like, it depends upon the institution. These calls needs to be taken by concerned institutions. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Karthik, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing out a very scientific tool. My only doubt is, has it become little bit complex, because an industry which has been going on without any yardstick, now we have brought in a very good yardstick. Does it look little bit complex for the, MFI borrowers? That is my only doubt.
Thanks for the question, sir. So like, as we had shared earlier, up to about 60-70% of the data points here are already captured by institutions. So if you see, sir, the income, expenditure, even in the household assessment, in the individual visit of the field officers go and check the house and different category. Everything is already done. So now what we are doing is we're just integrating all the data points available with the institution and coming up with a score. So this would quantify the information which is there and help in risk profiling, because in the RBI consolidated document, the RBI also talks about risk profiling of clients. They also talk about differential rate of interest. They also ask us whether there can be a standard assessment format. So these things are there. So this is just a tool to supplement whatever is there. So like, this is not to make things harder for institutions. Definitely, that is not our objective behind it. So this framework is as much as possible. So whatever can be adapted, like, we'll be happy if we can adapt it and do it. This is the overall framework we wanted to share with the institutions. So that was and also most importantly, client protection. So if you want to look at client angles, sir, like, how do we ensure the client is not over indebted? How do we ensure the client is provided with suitable products? How do we ensure the client improve product designing? So with the client aspect also, sir, we feel like this will definitely help clients. Just like it may take a little bit of more additional effort. That's it. Like, it is not so complex. That is what I feel, sir. Maybe we can also help you. Like, we can also, like, if you want to pilot it or do it in some branches, we can definitely do it. We can come down and also give trainings and definitely handle for this, sir.
Okay. Yes, banks have been using it since long. As an ex-banker, I can understand it, but for MFI industry, I was only thinking a little bit may look little bit complex. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Any more questions from anyone?
Sir, myself, Mr. Yashwant Ahir from Manik Financial Services Private Limited. Hello.
Yes, sir.
May I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, thanks. Good evening to all, and I am very much thankful to Sa-Dhan for presenting such a good scoring sheet and this credit assessment framework. In this case, what I would like to say, this assessment framework is based on major three area aspect, what you called as a one is a family income, second is a household property, and third is a credit history assessment. As you know, this family income having a sub parameter 10 parameters, house property is having 14 parameters, credit history assessment having 9 parameters. We'll have to integrate this all in one sheet, a scoring sheet, prepare the scoring sheet, and we'll go for credit assessment. For that purpose, I would like to request our Sa-Dhan to prepare a scoring sheet integrating all these parameters and having maximum score, and while assessing what they are awarding these scores, and then finalizing this matter. That will be better and easy thing to assess this credit assessment. That is my request, to prepare one scoring sheet. All these parameters should be integrated and prepare the one scoring sheet, and that can be circulated to all our members, Sa-Dhan members.
Yashwant sir, thank you very much for your feedback. Yeah, we can definitely share an Excel tool, which is where all these things are linked, and if you just need enter the inputs, it would give the results. Yeah, we can definitely do that, and it can also be automated, like institutions which are using phones, like mobile phone based apps for loan origination.
Very good.
So for them, they can also integrate with the system. But others, I think we can definitely share an Excel tool. Yeah, we can link it and share it with you, sir. That should not be a problem. We can do it, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. Sir, in the meantime, please send us this presentation for our information on mail.
Sure, sir. We will do that. We will do that.
Huh? Okay,
Sure.
sir.
Sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Do anyone else have any query? Or yeah, you can also send your queries to our SRO mail ID also. If you have any query later, you can share it with us. We will answer it from our side. So, so thank you, everyone. I will ask Mr. Shomesh Dayal to say, share the vote of thanks and conclude the meeting today.
So thank you, everybody. I know it was a very detailed presentation. There'll be a lot of questions, and we mailed you, I think, already, and some of you will take time to look at it in detail, and we are happy to answer any of your questions. So as Shri said, please write back to us, and yes, we'll be sharing the PPT as well. So I just wanted to just conclude by saying that Sa-Dhan has been working and thinking along these lines about protecting clients better, doing better assessments for about 2 years now. And so we've really tried to examine the various models which are in existence and how to make things better. And I think the main reason is that we want to always showcase to the regulators and lenders that we are a very responsible sector. We don't have to be, we don't have to wait to be told how to do certain things. And we want to be there and preempt and in advance show our responsible behavior, and that our focus always remains the interest of the clients. So that is why we have been sharing some of these details with RBI, and they've been very appreciative of Sa-Dhan's effort here. We are very proud about this, and this could not have been done without all of your help. And I think one of you mentioned that it's been a collaboration. I think Aditya was mentioning that, and that's how anything that we launch and produce is always with the collaboration of our members who are always guiding and supporting us. And yes, finally, it is a robust tool, but it also has the flexibility to be adapting to various regions and according to members' preferences. So as we go along, our hope is that you will use it, test it out, do more, and we can keep strengthening it as we go forward. Now, I'd like to thank Anjan ji, who's also on our SRO committee, who's been giving us a lot of guidance and support. Thank you for your keynote address, sir. Thank you for your ideas on this tool, and also for doing the pilot so successfully. And I'd also like to thank Aditya Bikram Singh and Biswajit Das ji. Thank you for your words of comfort, support, and constant guidance on improving this as we go forward. And also, I thank you to all the participants. We've had about 100, and I think some of them had to go off and go to the YouTube site to look at it. But in case we've not been able to answer everybody, we are happy to have another session or write back by mail. All the points further about integrating with IT system, training of MFI staff to use this, implement this tool better, as well as doing some scoring. We will examine that, and we will. That's going to be our next work for us. So thank you all, and keep supporting us, and hope you have a very good experience of using this in the field.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.